Okay, so kind of going through the punch list. Brakes. Front brakes. There we go. Turn this off now. Front brakes. Look good. No lip starting. Still got plenty of brake pad there, so you could push those off for a while. I wouldn't worry about that. That's plenty of meat. When you do decide to do them, they're actually not that bad price-wise. And the calipers, if you choose to do calipers at the same time, calipers are only like 30 bucks, which is cheap for calipers. So when you decide to do it, that's just to let you know. Got the end links that I did at that one point and this joint. So I don't know why it didn't dawn on me the other night when I was saying the steering gear. I forgot it's got that Jeep drag link and all that shit. So started to look into that tonight. Apologies. So you've got the tie rod end out here, and the boot isn't that bad. It's a little worn, but I mean, I've seen much worse. It doesn't have play because I can grab on right up here and I can't turn it. So it doesn't have slop. Same with the steering shock gear here. I can turn and get well, that's locked in there, but still it's a bushing back here, so it's sturdy. You got the drag link, which comes from the frame. That's the one I was having problems with on your other Jeep. Runs up to the frame mount up here. That boot, a little bit dried out, but still has some integrity to it. And again, I'm grabbing on and trying to rotate. I can't get any movement. Tie rod end out here. Same, grabbing on, no movement. So I'm confident that the suspension and steering down here is good. Control arms look good. Differential, front differential, no signs of leakage, look good there. You've got the exhaust crack, which is actually growing a little bit, I think. Now it's wrapped all the way up and around. So you've got the other arm that comes up here to your pitman arm. And that boot's it's leaked a little bit, you can tell. But it's not torn. And I can grab on here and no movement. So again, that's stout. Then you go up the pitman arm to the steering gear, and this is the steering gear bolted to the frame. It's been leaking there. It's a very slow leak because I looked at the power steering fluid up there, and it's topped where it's supposed to be. So it's been a very slow leak, but it is leaking. You have the U-joint right there, which is in great condition. No rag joint like I was thinking. Sometimes they have this cloth piece of hemp fiber that's in there that's supposed to act as an insulator, but this doesn't have it. Steering arm like this goes all the way straight up to the steering wheel. There's no more joints. So I'm confident that that steering gear leaking probably has something to do with that steering, because this stuff down here is stout. Then I was looking at the shocks. They obviously need to be done. They're old and ragged and rusted. And watch this. All I have to do is grab onto the front sway bar here and watch the whole back end. Let me do it with my right hand. I can make the whole truck balance. That's just pulling on the sway bar, so the shocks are definitely fucking shot. Those are way overdue. Looking, transmission pan looks to be sealed up really well. There does look like there's a little transfer case leak. Let me come around and show you that. I looked at it from the front and I can see that it looks wet. I haven't inspected the back of it yet, so we'll look at the same time. No, actually it's not that bad. I thought it looked wet over here. Yeah, that seal looks good. Okay, so there's a little bit of fluid up here. Coming into the transfer case. That's kind of wild because I don't see it running down on the transfer case. So you're good there. Definitely look good there. Output shaft seal looks good. U-joint looks good. No slop in the actual U-joint. That's the whole shaft turning. You can see that. But there's no slop in the U-joint. So you're good there. Rear differential. Yes, definite leak. Haven't gotten it up and looked at the drum brakes yet. I would assume I can't remember if I did the front brakes on this or not, but they look like they were done fairly recently because there's so much meat left on them. Or I don't know how often you drive it, but they actually look good. I would assume the fronts have probably been done twice now, so it's probably time for the rears, because I looked at the drums from the backside and they're pretty rusted. So that could be the possibility, but otherwise, I mean, there's not a lot here that I would really worry about, Patrick. There's stuff you could push down the line a little bit to worry about. The only thing, that exhaust, this intake manifold has to come off, because there's the exhaust manifold. Here's the intake manifold. They weave together going down this line, and they're held in with the same bolts. It's a collar like that it just squeezes to hold both of them up. So I have to take the intake manifold off. So it ends up being like 4.5 hours to do that job. But just kind of so you can see, because the fuel injection rail, all these hoses, cables, you know, brackets and stuff need to come off to be able to get this intake manifold out and cleared so that you can work the exhaust manifold. Yeah, I think that was all that was on there. The transmission issue, I didn't take it for a drive yet. It looks like it's sealed up, so I can scan it and see if there's any codes for the transmission codes. Otherwise, the only thing I could really think is one of two things: either A, internal damage, or like a solenoid going bad, or B, fluid that just is probably old. Like if you haven't driven it, if you don't drive it like a daily and it's been a while since then, that fluid could have 30,000-40,000 miles on it and be degraded. Get some fresh fluid and a filter in there, maybe freshen that up, and it might change your shift points. But otherwise, man, there's not a whole lot here that really concerns me or looks bad. It's really clean down on the engine block down here. Still clean from when I cleaned it when I did the valve cover gasket. So everything's looking good, man.